guys, and welcome back. We are back. Seems like it's been a little while since we've been live, but we are on the air now. We are back in action. My goodness, a little bit of everything to talk about. I don't even really know where a person would even start. Guess we'll just start saying, "How was your Christmas?"
Oh, I had a great Christmas. One of the most positive things about it was my kids were home. My daughters were in from school. My son came in. We got to spend time together. And, Christmas is a good time, not necessarily because of the festivities that surround it, just getting to spend time with your family and get a break from the daily activities and routine that you're in. Got good 2 weeks off from school, kind of get rested and rejuvenated to go back the second half and finish it up. But it was good, and then we had this snowstorm hit. And
We got a
we
little
got like
get a little extended break
get a
there.
little
Yeah,
extended break, and like I
yeah.
said,
Aiden got sick with he had strep throat on a Tuesday, and then they called him back with a positive flu test on Thursday or Friday of the same week, and then it went into Martin Luther King week. Then he was off the whole week, and then another half of a week. So he got a little bit of an extended break. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm about done with the winter time after that little spell. I'm liking the weather we've been getting. I'll take that any day.
it seems like that's the first snowstorm we've had in a couple of years. It
And it
kind of
hung
put us,
around for a
yeah,
while. Yeah.
extremely cold. I think one day it got down to, I want to say, -4, minus
Yeah.
5 degrees. So
Yeah, the last time we was on, though, I mean, a lot of people probably wondering what happened. The last time we was on, which was around Halloween, I talked about having Gary Johnson on for a Thanksgiving episode. The very next day, I talked to his daughter and found out that he had been battling leukemia, and had been really, really sick, been off work for a while. But I think I talked to him the other day. His treatments have ended. He's starting to feel a little bit better. So I wanted to let everybody know that's why you didn't see us around Thanksgiving is because, he had been sick and, been having a lot of trouble and lost a lot of weight and stuff. But I mean, when he does get to feeling a little bit better and stuff, I told him, just give me a holler and we'll roll with that. I mean, you got to take care of yourself. I mean, when it comes to health, and there's been a lot of people sick, a lot of people, having illnesses and stuff. So speaking of, a lot of things going on, though. I mean, well, what's going on in our country? I mean, normally we come on here and talk worldwide stuff, but I mean, right now the biggest talk in the world is our country. Not only that, down on our southern border. So I mean, that southern border is a little rough right now.
extremely rough. We've had the issue with the border with a lax on immigration laws since 2021. Um, we've heard that, immigration and customs officials have had to arrest and detain people at the border for various reasons, whether it be fentanyl, whether it be cocaine, drug cartels, uh, illegals trying to come into the country that are affiliated with um, terrorist organizations. So we've had those issues since 2021, but it's become more magnified in the last month. However, I look at you and say this: I think the media has kind of kept from publicizing it to keep people's attention off of what's really going on. Because, I just threw the question out to my wife today. I said, "You know what's going on at the border?" And she's like, "No, I don't know what's going on at the border." And I'm like, "How do you not know what's going on at the border?" But we don't watch a lot of local news and we don't watch a lot of national news.
I don't.
Therefore, Therefore, it's probably not unheard of to not know what's going on there, but it is very publicized right now because what you have mass numbers of illegals crossing the border on a daily basis. The state of Texas has decided that, well, let me say this, they appealed to the federal government for intervention. The federal government needed to come down there and assist them in their efforts to prevent mass numbers of immigrants coming across the border, but that didn't happen. The borders remained open. And it's creating mass numbers of problems in this country. whether it be for sanctuary cities. I mean, you have a lot of governors right now. The governor of Chicago is adamant against the number of immigrants being sent to sanctuary cities like Chicago and various other places. New York's mayor spoke up. Eric Adams has spoke up and said, that we can't house anymore. I saw a situation where an airport was being used at night as a warming center for illegals. And during the day, these people were kind of just disappearing, but at nighttime, they showed back up. So we've got a problem there, Mike. But the federal government is not doing its constitutional duty by means with what's right towards the states. So the governor of the great state of Texas, Greg Abbott, has basically stated that if the federal government is not going to do what they're supposed to do to help protect the states, then the state government has the right to take matters into their own hands. And they've put up wall portions of a wall and put razor barbed wire on top of it to prevent mass numbers of illegals coming across.
As they should.
And what's happened? The federal government, the Biden administration, sued Texas. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4. 5 justices voted in favor of the Biden administration that the barbed wire on top of the fence was illegal and it had to be removed. And that basically the border in certain areas like Eagle Pass and El Paso and Yuma, Arizona should remain open. So what's happened is the governor of Texas has decided that if the federal government is not going to protect us by constitutional requirements, the states have the right to protect themselves. So they are putting up more barbed wire in rebellion. It's called the Lone Star or the Operation Lone Star, and 25 states to date have joined them.
Well, I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I said, imagine being the state of Texas. It's one of the bigger states, and it's right on the border. So all these people are flocking across the border right into that state. Biden administration's in D.C., halfway across the country. So they're not, they may be seeing some busloads of them, but they're not, dealing with them the way the Texas people are. I mean, these people are running into people's barns and into their houses when they're coming across the border, and nothing's happening to them. Lord, if you, try to protect yourself, they come after you instead of, the person that broke into your house. So I don't blame Abbott and the state of Texas for trying to protect their people. And what did I get earlier?
Well, let me give you a number.
27 states are on their way right now to Texas.
I hadn't seen that. I'd only seen that 25 had joined.
Yeah, well, I saw it just a little bit ago, but it says 27 states are on their way to Texas right now. People to volunteer to go down there and stand with Texas.
Well, this is not a partisan issue. People need to understand that it's not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's not an independent issue. This is a national security issue. And people have to understand that our border has to be protected. We have immigration laws in place for a reason, to ensure that, one, people are vetted and checked and documentation is in place. They have screenings on backgrounds to make sure that we're not just allowing anybody and everybody to come into this country that poses a potential threat. After 9/11, a lot of things changed. You get the Department of Homeland Security, which one of the major purposes of that is to ensure that our borders are protected so that we don't have another event like 9/11. This poses a serious threat.
Well, yeah, any terrorist in the whole world that wants to come into this country just come through the border. I mean, you just walk freely through there. I mean,
well, since 2021, since the Biden administration inauguration, there have roughly been 6 million illegals that have crossed the southern border. 6 million. That is more than the population of 33 different states in the U.S. That's more than the population of 33 states. And, you say, well, we're the land of opportunity. We're the great melting pot. And we are. We don't want to deny people the opportunity to come to this country. We want people that want to come here to have the opportunity to fulfill their dreams. One, bring their families, enjoy the freedoms that we have. But at the same time, we have immigration laws in place that say we allow 600, since 1990, when it went into effect in 95, 675,000 Americans are naturalized citizens every year. That's roughly 500,000, which is a lot when you think about it. But that is gaining citizenship. That's not allowing. That's not taking into effect people that are coming on visas for work permit, work reasons, specialized skills, education.
I don't think it's hard to get in the country in the first place by following the process and the procedures. So I don't understand. I think about if Kentucky was Texas, if those were our borders that people were just coming across, people we don't know, they're just coming into our state, and our children and other people were at risk and stuff like Texas is. You have to feel for those people. Of course, they want to do whatever they can to protect their border because that's their people, that's their state. They don't want it just ran over with things that they can't monitor. And when you have people crossing the border and you have no record of them, then you have crime rates going up and everything else like that. Why not enter the legal way?
Well, you should. You shouldn't want to do it the legal way, but there's a time process involved in it. Which, when you look at immigration laws, you have to have lived in the United States a minimum of 5 years to gain naturalized citizenship, unless you marry a citizen. Then it's 3 years. Also, you got to be 18
But you
years
get
of age.
temporary visas, right?
Okay. Well, I'm talking about getting the citizenship.
Citizenship, right.
So, if I'm 14 years old and I come over here on a, let's say, a educational visa, and I live here 4 years, and I get a fifth year of extension, I've met the 5 year eligibility. I can start at 18. Once I'm 18, I can start the immigration process to become a naturalized citizen. I have to be able to read, write, speak English. I have to be able to pass a citizenship exam. And I have to prove that I can hold down a job as well as that I'm going to follow and obey the laws of the United States. Those are requirements. And they're in place to ensure that we don't have cities being overrun. We've got problems here, Mike. The problems we've got is our cities are heavily populated already. Okay, and you have a lot of people that are misfortunate. They're homeless. We got veterans on the street. We've got people that are out of work, unemployed for various reasons, and times are hard. Times are really hard right now, and the burden that it places on these places is even greater because taxpayers have to pay for that. Taxpayers are paying for that. I know that there was a law back in 2021 in New York. The mayor was going to try to pass a law that was going to allow 800,000 illegals to vote in municipal elections. That law was passed. It was going to take place, but the Supreme Court intervened. It's happening in places. It's unconstitutional. But it's happening in places in the United States where people that don't have naturalized citizenship, don't have natural born citizenship, are voting in our elections.
Yeah.
And what it does is, Mike, if you get mass numbers of growth in cities, what the growth does is it enhances your population. They do a census every 10 years. Those people are counted in that census. And what's it do? It equates to more representation in the House of Representatives. That's called apportionment, which you say, well, that doesn't mean those become our lawmakers. You take a state like California, who has 52 representatives, their population has seen a hit because of some of the laws that are in place. People moving to Texas and Florida, and now you get this mass numbers, and
electors are based on that too, right?
The House of Reps is based on population.
Right.
Based on population, senators are two per state.
Right.
So you got equal representation, then you've got representation based on population.
But your electors per state is based on population.
Right? Yes. So, okay, you take a state like, let's say Illinois, that has roughly right around about 25 House of Representatives. Well, you get these mass numbers of immigrants coming into these sanctuary cities. What's it do? In 2030, if our population continues to grow at the rate it is with immigration and these sanctuary cities taking in these people, their population grows, their representation allows them to affect the laws that are passed in this country. And people say, well, you're crazy. No, I'm not. If it's based on fact, every bit of it's based on fact.
Yeah, it's a dangerous. This country's getting dangerous right now, and I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, the more they pour into your bigger cities, the more they're going to pour into your smaller cities. Like in Lexington, and then Lexington's going to trigger down into Winchester and Moorhead, Ashland. Some of your interstate towns, and then the next thing you know, you're small communities out here like us, that's kind of off the interstates and everything a little bit. Next thing you know, we're being overran with it, and
But
then
but I think what happens, Mike, is when you start talking about immigration and you start talking about following laws and doing it the right way, some people get mad. They get mad about
I
it
don't understand
because
why.
they think that you're against immigration and you're against people coming to this country. You're not. There are rules in place. Give an example. I can't drive a car in the state of Kentucky until I'm
16.
16 years old.
Right.
That's a law. It's in place. If I violate that law, I get arrested or I get some type of criminal justice
I would
penalty.
equivalent that to like drinking and driving. You might be okay with people drinking and you might be okay with them driving, but they're not allowed to drink and drive. It's the same way. We're okay with people coming into the country, but do it the right way, where you're documented.
Well,
Same as we are. We're all documented.
Yeah. Well,
citizens are documented here. We all have most of us have social security numbers, unless you're.
and like I said, I don't want people to think I'm against people coming into the country, but
I have friends that
you
have
have
citizenship here that I agree. I helped them study for the citizenship test.
There was a guy in here a couple of weeks ago from South Africa. You know what I'm talking. But
we've seen some people from Russia. Remember
yeah.
that one
Well, there was
incident
2
from
Russian guys. I mean, but they're here the way
Which
they're
is weird
supposed
in
to
this
be.
small town. But we're not anti-immigration. It's just that, would you allow people to enter your house without you knowing who's coming in your house? I equate that to the country. Texas borders, I stay in Texas because they want to know who's coming into their state.
Well, same way with Mexico. Americans can't go across the Mexican border without a registered passport
Right.
or documentation.
What about Canada?
Okay, and they have and you don't think that when you go into Canada or Mexico that they're not going to search you and ask questions, why are you here? Because it potentially creates a lot of problems. Right now, since 2021, the inauguration, the amount of fentanyl in this country has increased by 2,000%. And you say, well, okay, it's not a problem. It affects people locally.
I'm going to tell you this too, not just the drugs, but if you watch Sound of Freedom, most of our sex trafficking is coming across that border. If you watch that movie, and it's infuriating. I mean, and if no one cares about drugs, anyone should care about children. I don't care whose children they are.
I agree
If they are Mexican children, if they are Colombian children, or they're American.
Well,
children.
even in other countries, it's Americans going to these other countries to traffic or buy these children to bring them back through the Mexican border back into the country.
And when we're not monitoring the border and who's crossing, we're allowing that stuff, the drugs and child sex trafficking, to cross over without being monitored or policed.
But most people really, and this may sound stupid when I say this, but a lot of people really don't care until it ultimately affects them.
Right.
That's right.
I mean,
No, you're crazy because you don't want people here illegal, is what somebody would say. But the night their house gets broke into, their car gets beat to shit,
their child gets raped,
their child gets raped, then all of a sudden they want everything in the world to be going their way. And
it's kind of like the state that was going to ban the police. That was Minnesota, right? And then they got in a predicament where crime rates started, like there was protesting and rioting and stuff, and then they called for police to come out. It's like, dude, you can't ask for this not to be this way, and then when it goes that way. I just think people should think about, if it was your own home, our own state, how would we feel about it? Would we want people just crossing over? I mean, crime rates are bad enough right now. I mean, we've had some encounters and stuff like that. People coming into the country that don't know the laws is a problem.
Well, a lot of people that are watching this are probably thinking that Greg Abbott is a tyrant because he's trying to protect his state and going against the federal government. And a lot of people are questioning whether or not this will lead to a second civil war.
That's where I was getting ready to go, because 27 states, or 25, 27, whichever one, states are already headed that direction. And that's what me and her talked about earlier, is the fact that this is how our other Civil War started. It started, with things.
Well, people will tell you the Civil War was because of slavery. It wasn't. It was because of state rights. It was because of federal government trying to supersede into state rights and stuff and violate constitutional things. I think Abbott's doing for the state of Texas like he's hired to do, like he was elected to do. He's supposed to
Now,
watch over Texas.
I will be the first to tell you that Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, probably has some questionable issues about his past.
Right.
But he's trying to look out for the best benefit of the state of Texas. And you've got other states that GOP governors, most of which GOP governors that have come out in support of Greg Abbott because, they see it as a mass invasion. And, I took this right off of the Constitution. The Constitution says in Article 4, Section 4, it requires our government to protect and defend our borders. If the government does not, and I emphasize does not protect the borders, the Constitution, by virtue of the named part herein, authorizes free citizens to defend themselves and their state in place of treasonous government. In not defending our borders, the government gives aid and comfort to a hostile foreign invasion. And this, under Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution, is properly labeled treason.
So I have a question, Matthew, because we were talking about it. So, when the truckers did their convoy up in Canada,
okay, let me
start freezing bank accounts.
Okay, let me intercede because I'm not sure if people are aware of this. 700,000 truckers have started a trucker convoy in Virginia Beach between January 29th and February 3rd. They will eventually
in support of
Texas, will make their way to Eagle Pass and Oma and also another what we would call port of entry.
So he and I have talked about this, but do you think that when that happened up in Canada, they froze bank accounts of people who were helping and stuff? My thing is that I don't know that we're not that close to people doing that here. That our people would do that. I think that would create a situation. But I thought about that because anyone who was caught helping, so are they going to retaliate? Because Biden told Texas, take it down or else, right?
He gave them until 6 p.m. yesterday to take down the barbed wire.
Or else.
And that was the quote, or else.
And I believe Abbott's and Texas' response back was, or else what?
Well, he actually released an official statement, and he used verbiage from the Constitution to support what they're doing. That if the federal government is not going to protect the state, then the state, by right of the Constitution, has the right to defend themselves in the event of an invasion and not be considered a treasonous act.
Right. It's in the Constitution.
So what is the supreme law of the land? The Constitution. But
and
if you notice
something, is supposed to uphold that Supreme
but the Supreme Court voted
5-4 in favor of taking it off.
That's what I'm saying. They're not upholding the supreme law of the land.
Well, let me add to that. Okay, who were the judges, Supreme Court judges, that voted in favor of the Biden administration?
One of them was Trump's appointee, though.
Well, two of them
Amy
were Trump.
Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett. And you had the Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. You have Kagan. You had Sotomayor, and the other one was a Democratic nominee. There were 4 women and one male. And I'm sitting there going, how can you do this? How can you vote? And I don't mean this being mean. I understand that you want people to have the opportunity to come into this country, and you look after children and you think, well, our country can provide better means than where they're coming from. I agree with that, but not at the expense of taxpayers, because right now, Mike, any American that is economically involved in society, you're feeling the effects economically with the economy. You're talking about the good.
Matthew, if we're talking about Supreme Court, they're supposed to go with the Constitution.
I agree. So
not emotions, not feelings, not anything like that. They're supposed to.
I agree with that.
what the Constitution means,
I
right?
agree. So their interpretation would have to be deemed unconstitutional.
Right.
So somebody is in violation of
Of of enforcing the Constitution.
Constitution because it's the supreme law of the land. You cannot supersede. And what's happened, and and like I said, I don't want people to take from this that I'm bashing people, because I'm not. But there have been multiple times where the Constitution has been superseded in exchange for some things. Give you another example. Okay, the Biden administration. I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but just recently, Joe Biden, and I can document this for you, that Joe Biden announced that his administration is forgiving $5 billion in student debt for another 74,000 borrowers, even though the Supreme Court voided the president's student loan forgiveness program in two court cases, Biden versus Nebraska and the Department of Education versus Brown. The Supreme Court said you can't do that, but they are still what?
Mm-hmm.
How are they getting away with this?
So, Matthew, I'm going to tell you this. Michael knows this because he and I have had this discussion. I worked for a company that was school loans. I took care of it and listened to them telling people about deferments and things like that. I don't think people understand. And what they've done is they've listened to the government say that they were going to forgive their school loans. So they deferred without payment. And because I had people call, because I got on right at the time that they were now going to have to start paying back, right? And they're like, I thought they were forgiving these loans. So they've deferred these loans for years. And their $40,000 loans have now turned into $120,000
because of
loans.
interest.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I had a 79-year-old woman call to make a payment, and I'm like, and they got on to me with quality control because they wanted me to stick with the script and just offer the deferment and for these payment plans. But what people don't understand is this public loan forgiveness is if you make qualified payments for 20 years, you might have loan forgiveness. Well, you're talking about a loan that when you first took out was only supposed to be 10 years in the first place. So
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That got deferred during all that I saw. We were told it was going to be no deferment, no payments. You didn't have to do any of this stuff. And then when the repayments start back up and you get to see your account again, all of a sudden you've got $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 that has accrued in interest over that time period, and it's like,
and what quality control was knocking me is when I would tell people, I'd be like, I can defer your payment, but please understand that at the end of this deferment, whatever interest has accumulated will go onto your principal balance. You'll owe more.
Well, that was a federal loan company. That was a federal student loan company. Federal thing that you work for, and they don't want you to tell people that. They want that.
They want
you to defer it.
Much debt.
That's just like a federal government. Okay. I mean, that's what they want.
Okay. Should everybody in this country have the right to free education? Yes.
Free education? I believe so.
I also believe firmly that everybody in this country ought to have free health care. And I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Okay. I'll read you a statement here. With $11 million a day in U.S. tax dollars being given to Israel, we give $11 million a day in tax dollars to Israel.
Wow.
It says I would give every American free health care and free 4-year university education. It's high time the American taxpayer says no more of my tax dollars paying for the incidents that are happening in Israel. Because there's a lot of things going on over there. And I know that we have a close relationship with Israel. But you've got people here that need help, okay? Guess what Israel gives every citizen in their country?
Free healthcare.
Free healthcare and free 4-year university education. With what?
Because we're paying for it.
Our tax dollars. Israel deserves it. I agree. Israel deserves it. But so do we as American taxpayers.
Well, because
Israel not be self-sufficient. My thing is
since 1948 up until now, $11 million a day.
That's crazy. So
if they can't get on their feet after that many number of years.
It's like 20 years in Iraq, and what did we benefit from that? How did the Americans help that by giving that? It's the same thing with Ukraine. I mean, I think that we have so many issues ourselves over here, and basically we work for other countries.
Well,
We
it's
don't
just
work
like
for
here in the
Americans.
comments. I'd rather they clear student loan instead of sending tax dollars to Ukraine. So there you go. Yeah,
Okay,
I would. I mean, at that point, yeah.
we
If you,
passed. If you and people can look this up and see if I'm right, the House of Representatives passed a budget, but did not secure the border. We're sending more of our tax dollars to Ukraine, and we're sending more over to Israel. And I'm not saying that you don't have to have economic ties and military ties to countries to ensure democracy throughout the world.
The amount of money we're sending though is questionable. It's like
okay.
Well, what was it? I think you said it on a show months ago.
Here's the thing: we need an accountability in place to ensure that if we're going to send this money over there, every dime is being sent or being spent appropriately. There's the problem. There's no accountability.
Well, it's just like right now. Joe Biden announced earlier today in a speech that he's got a bill on the table right now, waiting for something to be passed for the border. He'll sign it as soon as they put it in front of him. But we all know what's in that bill. It ain't going to be just money to secure the border or anything like that. It's probably $100 billion or something other in there for Ukraine. That's why they're not signing this thing.
I don't understand why there's not accountability for those.
But you said it.
Rand Paul has adamantly spoken out as a senator for the state of Kentucky that there needs to be an appropriations committee that has accountability for every dime we send. The appropriation bills start in the House. They're sent to these places. They sent from the House to the Senate. We send all this money. There's no accountability. You're sending $100 billion to Ukraine. How do you know that that is, one, benefiting the citizens of Ukraine, helping for their stability, survival? Okay,
well, you're never going to get them to pass it because we already know quid pro quo. We already know Hunter was being paid bukus of money for a position that he wasn't qualified for. China's received money. It's just like they don't want, because then they are accountable. Our people who are sending our money over there are accountable.
Well, you said it on a show a while back, maybe in the fall, that so far, I don't remember what the amount was then, it's probably more now, of the money that had been sent to Ukraine. And that was before the Israel thing started.
That was $100 billion.
There was enough money that had already been sent to Ukraine that every eligible American
could be given $1 million.
Could be given $1 million and still have extra money, you know, and still have extra
and not have to worry.
So I mean, that right there should tell you how much money has been sent over to a country that, you know, to me don't look like it's being really blew away too much because they're all over there running around.
As much about Americans as they do about the other citizens of other countries.
Well,
I mean, we can be called selfish all we want to, but we really do not take care of our own people. We don't.
Well,
and if somebody's living on the street, we're like,
well, I made that
options.
I posted that thing the other day about the veterans. You know, our homeless veterans should be getting funding before any illegal immigrant should be, and that's true.
Well,
you know,
okay.
Absolutely
think about it right now, Mike, from the extent of taxation. Let's just talk about taxes. Okay, we're taxed every time we turn around. We go buy a vehicle. We pay tax and license on that vehicle.
Oh yeah, it's $1,900 is what I paid.
Okay. At the end of the year, at the end of that year, you have to do what? You have to re-up and what? Tax and license that vehicle again. So the question with goods that we buy in this country, same thing with a home. You have to pay taxes. do you ever really own this stuff?
No, because the minute that you don't pay taxes on it, you're had lad. They'll come and take it. Government will seize it.
So, yeah, it was not. And when I got that Toyota out there, I bought it a couple months ago. It was $1,900 to license and register that car. That a car that you already have to pay back $33,000 on.
Not only that, you'll probably pay $300 every year for a while,
for tags and stuff.
And taxes.
Good thing that ain't till November.
I think they overtax everything. You tax our income, then we tax everything we buy. Even services they're taxing now when they already get taxes on your end of the year return. So if we followed $1 on how much taxes we pay on $1 overall, it'd be disgusting. And for most of it to
Well,
go
you get
overseas,
you
it's
get
not
your.
even.
Most people work a 40-hour week. Minimum federal wage is $7.25. It's hard to stay above the poverty line at $7.25, and I know they've deliberated the idea of raising federal minimum wage from $7.25 to $15. There's a cost of doing that. If you raise it to $15 an hour, then whoever you're employed with is going to have to do what to the price of their goods or their
Everything has to
service.
go up.
It's got to go up. So in turn, are you saving people money?
The only
But
thing you're doing in
725.
that, Matthew, 725 jobs, minimum wage jobs are supposed to be entry level jobs where people start out and they're supposed to gain experience and hopefully get more.
Move up, yeah.
But the only thing you're doing by raising minimum wage to $15 an hour is paying what? More what?
Taxes.
Everyone's going to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
So the government comes out with more money, but everything's going to cost us more and we're going to pay more taxes. That's just the way it is. So I don't know. I just don't think they look out for us. I think we send a lot of money overseas. We don't take care of our own people. We don't take care of. Look at our roads and stuff. Look at all this stuff. How much gas taxes we pay on every time we get a gallon of gas. A great majority of that's taxes.
Let me add to that. Right now, middle class is getting hit hard because it's with the way goods are, and right now we know that since 2021, the increase in the amount of inflation in this country has went up tremendously. Okay, I'll give you an example.
Inflation was under control.
Okay, well,
that's what they're saying.
Okay, they're saying that, but hold up. But the reason they're saying that, Mike, is because typically in an election year, things start to do what?
Go down.
They go down. But as soon as that election is over, guess what? The price of those goods once again goes right back up. Since Biden has taken office in 2021, shelter is up 7.2%. That's rent. Okay. You talk about around here, just in Morgan County, to rent 4 years ago, you could rent a 2-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom house, nice accommodations for $450 to $500 a month. You would have to agree with that. Okay, what are you getting now?
Most places, especially if you're closer to town, is probably like $650, $700.
So it has saw an increase in the price per month. And
I don't know what the apartments are going for now, but.
And okay, that's in Morgan County. Imagine living in a city like New York where your rent is probably minimum $2,500 $2,500 a month.
Lexington was
for them just
probably $1,000. Probably $1,000.
Like $1,200.
Oh, I know. When I was in Daytona a couple years ago, a girl down there that worked at the hotel said she had a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. It's $1,500 a month. Just for that, I mean, it's basically nothing, for that.
So shelters went up 7.2%. Let's talk about food. A carton of eggs is still what?
Oh my gosh, a carton of eggs is ridiculous.
Carton of eggs,
$5. It's free at my house.
But that's
when the hens ain't laying, you gotta have to take out a small loan.
Was it $3?
About Walmart, I think at Walmart. It's about $3 or something, $3. But that, when the hens ain't laying, you got to take out a small loan to be able to afford it.
So food is taking a hit. You go to the store, your monthly bill to buy food for the average person has went up. Okay, what about child care in the United States? I agree. I'm glad I don't know. The cost of having somebody, a daycare center, watch your kids. I guarantee you, according to the statistics I saw, child care has went up about 4.8% in the last 3 years. Okay, then add to that new vehicles. I had a buddy.
Try to buy a used vehicle.
One of the guys I work with said that he had bought a 2019 brand new F-150 and he was having some transmission problems with it. And I said, my question to him was, how do you afford to buy a brand new 2019 F-150 when they're about $65,000, $70,000? Your payment's going to be what?
You're looking probably at $1,000 or maybe more.
I mean, that's a hard hit. And the thing is, as prices go up, do the wages stay the same?
Yeah.
There's your problem. So we're not seeing that the standard of living increases, but you're not seeing the wages increase with it, and it's taking a hard hit on.
You need to talk to my employer when we get off the air about that.
If you're a
So,
billionaire, or a millionaire,
if I was a billionaire,
does it really hurt you?
if I was a billionaire, we'd be doing this from the Bahamas right now or somewhere. We'd be in a warm climate, sitting back right now, drinking
Well, it
something a little
does. You have to
harder.
think though. So
But
if you have a company that employs people though, and you have to pay higher wages, you also have to remember too, all their stuff that they're buying to do whatever work they're doing has went up as well, along with fuel and everything else. So everyone in the country is feeling the effect of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Even,
I'm not. That's what I was trying to convey to people is that America overall, across the board, the majority of people are suffering. Now, if I'm a millionaire or a billionaire and I've got money that I can throw away here or there,
throw it my
a
way.
few $100 here, a few $1,000s there, I'm not going to feel the effects like somebody that's living paycheck to paycheck.
the perfect example we had was someone came in here and they had to buy diabetic medicine like insulin and stuff, right? And they were talking about the mom was almost in tears. It was mom and dad. Do you remember this? And they came in here and they were talking about their kids' insulin medicine that they were having to pay for. And before Biden got in office, Trump had that drastically reduced, and it was like $60 for them or something like that. And now they're having to pay $400, $500 for that insulin. Well, the woman got emotional and started crying, but she said, we're able to pull back on something else and cushion that. She said, because we have the means and the income to do it. She said, but what happens to those people who are in between us and the people with medical cards? She
Or
said,
those
what
people,
happens to those people who are already struggling at the $60 mark and having to pay for it, but now they're having to try to
or
find
those people
for
on
the
a
kids
fixed income.
life-saving medicine.
Yeah, or those people on a fixed income.
Right.
Imagine your elderly people on Social Security drawing a certain amount, and that's what you get.
That's right.
And the economy is hard, takes a hard hit. They're not
Yeah, I
going to
don't know how to
readjust
do
that.
it.
They don't readjust that for you.
No.
So what do you do?
That's what she said. She said, we're lucky enough that we can cut a few things and still be able to give our kids medicine.
I had a lady that I worked for, cut her grass, weed eated her yard. She was on a fixed income. She could only afford for me to weed eat her yard once a month. Well, city ordinance says you have to have your yard mowed at least once a month. So, and I just told her, listen, we'll come up here 2 times a month and we'll do it for the price of one. Why? Because, you're struggling to get by, and I don't want somebody coming up here and questioning you or saying something to you because you're not able to do it because of financial. And that's what's sad, because you got a lot of people that are struggling right now, trying to get ahead, and it doesn't look like there's any light at the end of the tunnel anytime soon, unless 2024 can come and something could change in November. But who's to say it will change?
That's like the lady who was 79 years old and called me about adjusting her loan payment. And she's like, can we just get it adjusted or deferred for the moment? I'm tired and I need a rest, but I'm going to go back to work so that I can start back paying it. And I'm like, I just want to tell her, you're 79 years old. I mean, really, at some point, the woman couldn't even rest because she was so in debt with
We
me.
got a comment here that says, I am one of those elderly on Medicare and Social Security, and the government is messing with it now. So, I mean, it's sad, to see that's. Well, I mean, think about it. I don't know, what the totals of Social Security, Medicare, whatever that stuff is, but I mean, it's a fixed. You get a certain amount. Imagine, you were talking earlier about a job. Sometimes your wages may go up with the economy, but something like that probably ain't going to go up. It stays the same for so long. With minimal raises, here or there. So I mean, I don't. It's hard to believe how people can survive. Miranda says things may go too far. Things may be too far gone for anything to change, but no matter what happens in November.
Who said that?
Miranda Cantrell.
I think a lot of them are a quick fix. I honestly do. I just think you have to put policies in place that tariffs and impose restrictions on countries, get back to America first, create jobs in the industry, new industries that can can bring high paying jobs. We had that going in the right direction. And like I said, you know, we're 3 years into this. We're 3 years into the Biden administration, actually starting our fourth year.
Fourth, yeah.
Okay. Peter, your boy, Peter Ducey, is that his name?
Ducey.
Ducey. He was at the White House and he was interviewing the press secretary. And he asked her this. He said, particular question on the economy. He said, we're almost 3 years in office. Inflation is up 17% since Biden took office in 2021. And guess who they're still blaming?
Donald Trump.
Who's at fault? They're blaming Trump. We're 3 years into this. We're starting
Which
the
I
fourth
don't
year.
understand, because the whole time Trump was in, they tried to carry on and give credit. They won't talk about policies that Biden's doing or anything that he's doing that's hindering the country. Not Biden, because I don't think Biden even understands. I mean, he couldn't. That speech, I don't even know if Michael has it. You can't even understand what he.
Well, I've got 2 speeches. You know, everybody's wanting to hear this, so I'm going to let you hear 2 different
You know which
speeches.
one he's talking about?
But the one that he's talking about, he was giving a speech in front of a woman's group or something other, some type of thing for women, and I'll just let everybody hear it.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Someone can interpret that. I would love to know what he said.
Don't mess with the women of America until you want to get a what?
Wow, you're good at this.
You must be studying it. All right. So
No,
then
I didn't write it.
MSNBC interviews Gavin Newsom and about running for president. This is Gavin Newsom's response.
Who in their mind would want to run when you have someone of such esteem as our incumbent president of the United States, with a record of accomplishments and a man of character, a man of decency? I'm old school. Talk about loyalty. I'll go to ends of the earth for this guy. I really would.
So he's going to go to the end of the earth.
But the nature, not when
I'm not even. I mean, I can't even go no further. But I mean, praising this guy, for nothing.
I mean,
basically.
that's who our president is, and then you have a representative who wants Elon Musk to foot the bill for people to go.
You want me to play that one? Here, I'll play that. Maybe we've got some viewers that's never seen that before.
The one where Kamala?
Ocasio-Cortez.
This is Ocasio-Cortez. Right, here's how we're actually really going to fish. We're going to fix global warming.
I just had another amazing idea. So, maybe we can study the effects of global warming from the main source of all the heat in our solar system, the sun. Maybe I can convince Elon Musk, who is absolutely obsessed with me, by the way, to do something good with SpaceX and figure out a mission to the sun in order to get samples. I suggest we go at night because it would probably be too hot during the day, but we'll leave all that up to the scientists.
These are people.
My goodness. Now, you were talking earlier about those cities that elect people, and just elect whoever they want into their Congress or lawmakers.
I hope she was better.
I didn't know. I mean, you're a history teacher. Do you know anything about science?
I do. We're 93 million miles.
Because do you think the sun is warmer, or do you think the sun is colder at night here than what it would be?
I'm going to say that if we were to get within a certain range of the sun, we'd be incinerated.
Does she not realize that when it's dark here, it's light somewhere else, so the sun's still.
I mean, I didn't know the sun cooled off at night. Like what? But I mean,
turn the lights off.
Yeah, I mean that's there. I don't know. And that's some of our leaders. That's some of our lawmakers.
You talk about economics. We were talking about Bidenomics. Biden has increased the national debt since 2021. $7 trillion.
Oh my goodness.
$7 trillion. Now, there's your reason for inflation. Add to that, the Secretary of Treasury, Janet Yellen, announced and testified before Congress and stated under oath that Biden's budget proposal has an additional $4.7 trillion in new taxes.
New taxes.
And new taxes, global warming, carbon emission taxes, things of that nature. You're going to pay for those things. So spending has not been an issue over the last 3 years. It's actually been at an unprecedented rate. And the budget continues to be enhanced. More spending. The debt continues to go up at the expense of you, me, our kids, our grandkids.
My thing is, if you go down here to the bank and you borrow money and you borrow money and you borrow money, at some point someone cuts you off and says, I'm sorry, you don't have the means to pay for this anymore. You can't pay back all this money in your lifetime or whatever. I don't understand how we can keep, especially giving it to other people. As much as I'd like to help other people, I can't go down here to Bank of the Mountains and ask Jody to give me money because I want to give it to somebody else. You're just not going to get it. I mean, you just can't.
Yes, Robert, that is a real video. That actually aired live on, it actually aired. I was watching it air live, and I said, this is retarded. I said, I have to go back, rewind that thing back just to record that, because I said, she really did say that. And I mean, I don't know. I mean,
some people have mastered stupid very well.
Well, she's one of them.
She is one of them.
And I think, and just my vote, I don't know if anybody else would agree with me. They might like Cortez. But I think I support her in taking the mission to the sun.
Oh, I think Elon should put her on.
I think she should be the one that goes to the sun to collect the first samples from the sun.
And while they're at it, they can take Gavin Newsom to the end of the earth.
And they could go as much, they can go at night if they want to. They can go in the middle of the day whenever they want to go. Just take her whenever. Who cares? But
she's, wow. It's just, but I don't understand.
I had actually thought that that Kamala Harris had said that. I saw that interview and I somehow got mixed up and thought it was Kamala Harris that had stated that.
Well, you put her and Harris in the room together having a conversation. I would love to have the recording of that.
You listen to Kamala, though, she just repeats the same thing over and over and over again. And at least with Cortez and her defense, she had several different sentences.
Well, like I said, I had saw that previously, and I don't know for some reason why I was confused and thought that Kamala Harris.
Well, she's just as smart, if that tells you anything. But Larry says, can't wait till President Obama leaves office. Obama is behind most of the crooked stuff.
He said in an interview he could sit in the basement, pull all the chains.
Well, they're definitely sitting in a basement. Well, I don't know if he's in a basement. He's probably in the...
Joe was in a basement.
Joe was in the basement, but I would say Obama's
campaign.
in the... I would say Obama's probably sitting somewhere very close to the main office of the White House.
I thought Joe was having those big rallies.
He did have some big rallies.
Look
with 5 people or something. We had more people than that show up at our live sales. But, oh man, I don't know. It's
worrisome. It is worrisome that the Constitution is looked at so like for all of us Americans that believe in the Constitution, and it's our governing document, has been since the beginning of this country. We should all be concerned that the Supreme Court, is not enforcing what the Constitution says.
Nor is our military.
Okay,
because the military, and let me first say this: I support the American military. The American military, in my opinion, should be one of the top priorities for defense as well as for protection each and every year. Those people deserve a raise because it's in time of need that they volunteer. It's in time of need that they sacrifice, leave their families to defend our freedoms. So
they deserve pay and they deserve taken care of when they come home or when they leave the military because they sacrificed. They made the ultimate.
But they do take an oath. They do take an oath to defend this country against enemies, both foreign and domestic. So there's some issues that are coming to the forefront right now that is making me think that something is going to happen. Somebody at some point, somebody's got to intervene because if you don't,
Larry's going to get kicked off here.
If you don't intervene, then the Constitution that was written by our founding fathers is not the document that represents us. Donald Trump said this too, and a lot of people question things that I say because they think that I just
Well, why would they do that?
Because they think I make stuff up out of thin air. Donald Trump made the comment some time ago that it would not be long before governmental organizations would start taking down statues of our founding fathers.
Well, they've been doing it for.
They did it
They
yesterday.
just did it yesterday at Jefferson, wasn't it?
Thomas Jefferson in New York City.
Removed him.
Who wrote the Declaration of Independence.
I seen him taking him right
basically stating that we have unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the plight to separate from England. One of our founding fathers went on to be the third president of the United States. I want to say his face is on Mount Rushmore, if I'm not mistaken. And all of a sudden, here you got a statue of a founding father. And who would have thought that? It's hard for me to fathom. I teach history.
Why wouldn't you, Matthew, though? Look at this. They started trampling on things that are so Constitution is the governing body of our country. You have them disrespecting the flag. The flag represents all Americans. It doesn't represent one section. You have the national anthem is also stepped on. Now our Constitution's been stepped on for a lot in the last little bit. Look at January 6th. All kinds of their constitutional rights are being violated.
What's sad about January 6th is, one, that it happened. Two, that
damn Donald Trump.
Well, I'm not sure if it was Donald Trump or not, because if you want me to give you a name, I'll give you a name. Ray Epps is who I would look at.
I'm going to read
Ray
this.
Epps
Actually, when I read it in the comments, I got confused reading it. So when I go to read it, I want you to tell me who's saying it. Now,
okay. Ray Epps was found to be he was brought before a court and he was found guilty. I don't know if people know this. Ray Epps, look the name.
Guy that had the horn.
He was the guy outside that was telling people with the horn to basically take up arms against the Capitol.
But is he not also the same guy they videoed in the chambers that the police had allowed in? That was setting up at the podium.
That's not Ray Epps.
No.
But what I'm saying is Ray Epps. He got pretty much he incited an insurrection, and the Constitution says one section of it says that if you incite an insurrection, you basically are a traitor to your country, right. And that's one of the validated reasons that states are trying to keep Donald Trump off of the ballot. But I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, they can try and try and try. It's not going to happen. But Ray Epps got, I want to say it was either 6 months or 4 months in jail. Look it up, see if I'm right. Ray Epps.
That's it for,
and he was the one outside.
3 years of ridicule and.
See if you could tell me who said these famous words. Today is today, and yesterday was today yesterday. Tomorrow will be today tomorrow. So live today, so the future today will be the past today as it is tomorrow.
I'm going to say it's one of two people. I'm going to say Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, it is.
Well, I'm saying she takes like 4 words and says it like 300 times.
When I started reading it, I thought, damn, they went crazy on this comments. But then when it there at the bottom, it says Kamala, and I'm like.
But I want to say Ray Epps, if you look that up, he was found guilty and given, it's either 6 months or 4 months of jail time for being the guy outside, basically telling these people they are to take up arms and storm the building and do it. You know, I remember plainly that Donald Trump gave a speech that day and basically told people to go home, be peaceful, get away from the Capitol building.
They did.
But, the media has portrayed it as.
So look at how long they held those people. That's what I'm saying. They violated their constitutional rights. They wouldn't even charge them.
Well, they still haven't charged some of them.
Right to a quick and speedy trial. I mean, there's all kinds of constitutional rights being violated. Then now you have the Supreme Court that's not back in the Constitution with state rights. The Civil War started over state rights. Once again, Kentucky's laying in neutral ground. I don't know why we are, but if you start looking at the similarities of the first Civil War and what is happening right now in our country, everybody should be concerned. We should be concerned about why we're in this
You were
position.
talking about statues. Larry said he saw on a show that they're wanting to tear down the Statue of Liberty.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And in all honesty, if the right amount of people get behind it, she'll come down. They'll take her right out in the middle of the.
Tearing down the it doesn't change the
Have you ever
history.
noticed, and I say this,
Have you seen the Abraham Lincoln in Prestonsburg?
yeah, they had it at the Capitol building.
I stop and see him every time.
Was that the Capitol or was it Eric C. Kahn that was sitting in front
I
of
think it was Eric C. Kahn thing.
They moved
but
it
yeah,
to
I stop and see him every time I go to Prestonsburg and see how.
But they've moved several statues.
I mean, it's just ignorance.
Frankfurt Capitol.
Yeah, Frankfurt Capitol lost Jefferson Davis.
Yeah. But
again, did that change the history? No, it didn't change the history. I mean, what are they accomplishing?
What changes the history is the people that win can write the history the way they want to write the history, and you've got people now that can. All it takes is a textbook company to do what? Eliminate parts of history and kids.
Well, absolutely, but it doesn't change.
And I don't mean that being mean.
No,
it doesn't change. But what it does is it does change because of what we're teaching our kids in school.
Oh, I agree with that.
Teaching in school.
Yeah.
I won't mention the counties. I know people love to hear this. I won't mention the counties, but there's some of our local surrounding counties, 2 different counties. I've had people in here in the last couple of weeks who have said they have removed a bathroom stall in the bathrooms and put litter boxes in the bathrooms. And one of them said they went to the school on purpose just to be able to walk into the bathroom to see. And he said, I kid you not, they removed a whole middle stall in one of the bathrooms, and there was litter boxes in it. Now, it's not, as far as I know, it's not in our school, but it was in 2 surrounding county schools. And I'm thinking,
I'd heard of.
Damnedest thing I ever. I'll put it this way: it's not in your county either over there, so that I know of. But you know, it's ignorance. You know, not only from statues that are basically trying to erase history, litter boxes in schools, which is awful. I mean, it's one thing after another. The country is killing itself from within.
The things that we will accept and the things we won't accept. It's so.
We can't put a banner behind our show without covering up a word.
Because it's a pew-pew.
Because it says something that might offend somebody on Facebook. But if me and you dressed up as cats and sat here and licked each other, well, hell,
don't lick me.
we would have 10,000 viewers right now and have the awfulest people in the world loving to come and see us. I mean,
well, so you're talking about history. Florida, one of the requirements that Ron DeSantis required the educational Florida Department of Education to implement was every student has to take, before they graduate high school, a government class and pass a citizenship exam. We have to do the same thing in Kentucky. But here, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that's important because you learn about the Constitution. You learn about your rights. You're able to distinguish when you've been mistreated, and you can identify that. And instead of it being a discrepancy, sometimes I think people think, when somebody says something to you and they don't say it mean, but you take it as mean, that they violated your rights. You got to know what your rights are, and by having to take that, you become a better citizen. One, why? Because you're going to know and be informed, and you might want to participate in your government and have a say. Right now, people don't care about the government. I would love
to go out there and just poll people and be like, just to see what constitutional amendments they know. I think we'd be very disappointed.
Daniel said, about the photos of the litter box. I mean, I would love to see it. I mean, but he's got a good point. In the age of cell phones, why do we not have pictures of the litter boxes? I mean, hell, if I walked into a school and saw a litter box, first thing I would be wanting to do would be, trying to get a picture of it. But you don't see no pictures of it.
I don't know.
Just have a fan base coming in. But, and I agree with that. Larry says, look at the soldiers on the North and South Civil War that died. Do you think all those people died over slavery? I don't think so.
Well, you had a number of reasons for the Civil War. Those reasons are, one, states' rights. States should have the right by the Constitution to pass laws for the benefit of the citizens of that state. That's one. Two, a big reason that a lot of people don't talk about is sectionalism. Sectionalism is certain parts of the country are different. Texas is a lot different than New York. You'd have to agree with that. Texas is different than California. Texas is different than Kentucky. They're dealing with the border issue. So sectionalism is you favor certain sections of the country more than you do others, just like us. We live in eastern Kentucky. So we're typically going to be more favorable to eastern Kentucky over the central bluegrass area, the western Kentucky, because that's who
You
we
go
are.
across the Ohio River, people know exactly where you're from.
You're right, because of the slang and the way we talk. But you know, you've got slavery was an issue, but I don't know if it was the most important reason. I think states' rights is, but I think a lot of people can identify with slavery because they realized the South was heavily dependent on it, and the North was not. But the North had slaves. People need to understand that slavery was, it was a visible image in both parts of the country. And the question I always ask is, while the North and South were fighting, what were the East and West doing? And people are like, I don't know. Well, we're dividing it into two.
That's one way to throw people off.
Yeah.
I see a comment here about Miss E. Jean Carroll in the comments, so I figured we'd bring her up for just a minute. And actually, the comment says 8.3 million.
It's
but it was 83.3 million that was awarded from Trump. Yet she does have no clue on a date or time that anything would have happened to her. She couldn't remember any of that stuff. Just goes in, makes something up, and gets $83 million. Sorry, Trump.
Dude,
you do know that Donald Trump, he touched me. When I was
he touched
young,
you,
and I'm saying it live on the air. I want my $83 million. Wow.
Well.
Oh, and Robert said me and you would have the perfect liberal network show if we would start licking each other.
Thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. Let me say this about E. Jean Carroll. The lady may have been awarded $83.3 million by a court, but I'm going to tell you that Donald Trump's lawyer is not going to stop. They will appeal that to a higher court, and I feel almost 100% sure that they will win in a court of law, because the way the court case was ran against Donald Trump, there were a lot of...
Well, the defense couldn't speak.
So,
every time they would try to bring up something, they would just get automatically shut down. It's like going to court, but you can't defend yourself. You just have to sit there and just let them say, you did this, you did that. No matter.
You're afforded the right to a fair and speedy trial. The trial was speedy, but the problem was, I don't know if it was fair, because, typically you have counsel, they're able to call witnesses, they're able to question those witnesses, they're able to cross-examine, they can get rebuttal. The Trump law team was not able to do by law what they were should be allowed to do. I mean, it's governed, it's the law. So what I'm going to tell you is, I think they'll appeal. She'll not get a dime of that $83.3 million. And the problem I've got with her is this: she's not a credible witness, and I'm going to tell you why she's not credible. One, she has accused many men of raping her or sexually assaulting her, including her baby sister's boyfriend, a dentist, a camp counselor, an unarmed college date, an unarmed boss, and the CBS executive chief was accused. She's accused a lot of people. Now, all of a sudden, the statute of limitations had ran out, but she helped get a law passed in New York called the Survivors Act that allowed her to have another year of extension to go after Donald Trump. I'm telling you, there's too many technicalities with this. I don't think she'll get it.
Well, and like Nikki says here, she said while Trump was assaulting her, he was yelling over and over, MAGA, MAGA. That shit only come out a couple of years ago.
2016.
And this supposedly happened, 30, 40 years ago or something rather? Yeah. We ain't never heard the word MAGA, MAGA, whatever you want to call it, till just, 8 years ago, 6, 8 years ago.
Do you not think it's a distraction?
Yeah,
It
well,
distracts. And
Robert says it here too. He said, "Did you see the interview she did with Anderson Cooper? She's friggin' nuts. She's a nut."
well, she's not a credible witness because she can't come up with a validated answer for anything. And if you have law a law team that has the ability to cross-examine and get her on the witness stand, there is no way in front of a jury of her peers that she's going to appear to be credible if she's naming all these people, doing all this stuff. And there was an interview where she actually talked about being raped and that it was fun and I'm sitting there going, this
Then
lady's
how
not
could you
credible.
even stand in court and even win anything?
But it's all about what?
It's all about money.
It's all about money. It's all about trying to destroy the public image of Donald Trump. But here's what I know about Donald Trump. Every time they've taken a shot at the man, he comes out smelling like roses. I don't think she'll see a dime of that money because I feel assured that at the moment that verdict was rendered, they already had the appeal
Said
process.
here in the comments, in the show that you was talking about, she said rape was sexy.
That's it. Rape was sexy.
And Michelle Vance says, will they beat Trump out of office again this fall?
Okay, well, let's just talk about Trump. Trump went to Iowa, and what happened?
He won big within like 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Actually, if we take the totals, he won every county except for one, and the county that he lost by one vote in that Iowa caucus. Then he goes to New Hampshire, at which time he lost a candidate that found out what is his name,
Vivek Ramaswamy.
He endorsed Trump, and then
Ron
DeSantis has endorsed Trump, and Nikki Haley,
who has lost now, both of these.
And plus, you take the fact that she got all those people up there in the New Hampshire caucus they allow Democrats to vote in a GOP caucus. That don't make no sense. No. But she got all of the Biden vote and still got beat. I mean, Trump's going to be your Republican nomination. There's no ands and buts about it. I think the Democrat will be Biden. Do I think Trump will win? There's a lot of issues that come to hand, and one of them is the legality of voting. And I don't say that to bring up issues about 2020. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but there was some things that developed and happened since the last time we were on, in a federal court in Atlanta, Georgia, on January the 20th. You can look this up. It's called the Halderman Report. J. Alex Halderman was able, in front of a U.S. District Judge, Amy Tolenberg, to hack a Dominion voting machine with only a pen and able to change vote totals.
Yeah, they just released it in the last week or so that the Dominion voting machines can be hacked into.
That was done on January the 20th. Today's the what?
20. What is the day? 27, 28, something like that.
7. It's 27.
Yeah.
So that was 7 days ago in a federal court in Atlanta, Georgia. So that tells you, and if we go back to the 2020 election, I don't know, it's kind of like beating a dead horse talking about it. But if we go back and we talk about that, it was supposed to be the most secure and safest election in the history of the United States. That's what we were told. But yet here you have Halderman, who did a report, who's able to hack a Dominion voting machine in front of a U.S. district judge, as well as a jury and a crowd of people, and able to change vote totals. What's that tell you, Mike?
Yeah. Larry says here, he said, I am scared for Trump. Can't say what I want on the here, but And what Larry's talking about is he's got a feeling. Same thing. I'll put it this way. I won't say it either because it'll be what happened to JFK is what Larry's referring to. He said he's afraid that's what's going to happen with Trump.
Are you aware of the text message that Alex Soros put out this past week? Have you seen that? Had a picture of a windshield with a hole in it, and had over to the side a pile of money. And it talked about how inflation and all the problems in this country were attributed to Trump. And it had 47. And a lot of people have construed that to be kind of like a threat on his life.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. There ain't nothing surprises me with that. I mean,
Well, you're in the public image. You're in the public eye. People don't like you. But it
is
shouldn't
that
come.
what happens with us?
Well, it shouldn't come to that point. It shouldn't come to that point. But you just have radically minded people that sometimes take matters into their own hands, and it's sad, very sad. So,
Back in the early '90s, before you started your teaching career, you was in the WWF at the time, WWE now, and you worked under Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Just this week, last couple of days, Vince McMahon has they just signed on a big new deal with this new TKO company or something like that. And, allegations have come out against him now for, what was it, human sex trafficking or something like that. So he's been removed from all that stuff. I mean, a lot of that stuff's coming down the wire.
well, since the last program we had, Mike, the Epstein list has come out. It's
Mm-hmm.
documented. You know, the Justice Department has confirmed that the Hunter Biden laptop existed. We talked about that for 3 years here.
And was told we
Everybody,
were idiots.
we were idiots. We were
Conspiracy theories. There
That
was
that
no
did,
such thing as no laptop.
but there is a laptop.
I guess they're saying there ain't no,
Chromebook.
Chrome, sitting here.
But the
MacBook, whatever.
that,
That's what I was trying to think of.
but a lot of the things that we talked about in previous shows have now been validated. And, once again, we get to look at people and tell you, I told you
I
so.
told you so.
But,
Yeah.
at the particular time, it may have sounded far fetched. It's not far fetched now. I mean, just like I said with that Halderman report, we talked about in 2020 how there were some irregularities with the election. And now all of a sudden, you've got somebody proving in front of a judge and a crowd of people that they can manipulate a tabulator and change votes right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can do that, there's been the potential there to do it what?
In the past.
The past.
All along. Yeah.
All along. So, and people can question that all they want. All they got to do is look up what I just told them. 2020, J. Alex Halderman, the Halderman Report, Atlanta, Georgia. I guarantee you it'll come up if you
I saw it the other day and read about it. I'm like you. I don't watch a whole lot of news or anything anymore. It's just too aggravating, too depressing to watch it. But sometimes you're just scrolling through social media or something, and something pops up, and you're like, so you do see things like that.
Well, the Epstein list came out. Okay, we talked about the Epstein list. We talked about Jeffrey Epstein and his Madame Ghislaine Maxwell 3 years ago. We talked about it, and everybody thought, who's Jeffrey Epstein? Well, we found out that Jeffrey Epstein had a clientele of wealthy people, and we found that certain presidential figures have been tied to that. Bill Clinton was in the news for having been aboard the
he was
Lolita
even on
Express.
the liberal news networks.
Yeah. So they can say whatever they want. That list is as real can be. Human sex trafficking, we talked about it years ago, is an apparent problem in this country. 800,000 American children, women, kids go missing. 8 million worldwide. It's $1 billion industry, and people tend to think, well, it doesn't happen. They want to close their eyes to it. It's happening right now. I would suggest people that if you go into a grocery store or you go into a department store, that you keep your children within visible view.
Yeah, I would
you
not
can't
let
trust
anybody.
anybody.
I would not let no children be running freely, and that even goes here. In your local stores, even right here in the smaller towns. I wouldn't.
Well, I think a lot of people think that these problems are associated with big cities and big cities only. No, it's construed all the way down to your local communities as well.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah,
it's only going to get worse.
But the Epstein list has come out since we last talked, and like I said, we still haven't got to see all the names on the Epstein list.
No, there's still more to come.
There'll be more to come, and what has leaked has shown that a lot of the people that we thought were on it were validated. They were on it, and they tried everywhere in the world to tie Donald Trump to that list.
Well, I saw some stories that said Trump was there. I saw some stories that say that he wasn't.
Well, he's been exonerated.
And there was, I don't remember if it was a girl or a boy, whatever it was, but they even, they named the people. They was on the island. They named the people that was on the island, and they've even said it. Donald Trump was not there.
Oh, he's been exonerated.
Maybe you did see Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, but did you see them traveling together to go, to these events? Did they travel to the island? Boy, I think we may not be making it out of here tonight.
I think she left.
The door keeps slamming.
But there's been, a couple of months that transpired since we've been on here, and developments happen every single day. We've now seen conflict erupt in the Middle East. You got Israel and Hamas that are having issues in Palestine. You've got an issue with the Biden administration has waged new war against Yemen. Seems like war is something that we tend to love to participate in, but it's at a great cost. It's a cost economically. It's at a cost for American lives lost. And, peace deals are accomplishable if we're willing to sit down at the table and bring all the issues to stake and try to create solutions. I just don't know if that'll happen anytime soon. I saw where Zelensky, your buddy,
you want to see him dance? But,
had basically appealed to some Eastern European countries to try to negotiate peace between Ukraine and Russia. So
he's also suffering right now. There ain't been a whole lot of money being sent to him right now.
As there shouldn't. He's been given plenty, and he's wasted a lot. And if there's no accountability as to what these people are going to do with it, why do we keep funneling money to him?
That's a good question. Good question.
I mean, he lost money in FTX. That alone should have eliminated them from getting any more money.
You want to see it, don't you?
In the middle right now. Dance with me, baby. Dance with me, baby. Dance with me, baby. Got a party tonight. Dance with me, baby. Dance with me, baby. Dance with me, baby. Got a party tonight. In the middle right now, in the middle right now, in the middle right now, in the middle, in the middle right now, in the middle, in the middle right now, in the middle.
So do you think that deserves billions of dollars?
Those are some classic dance moves. I can say that.
I mean, seriously?
He was working the floor there.
I've got the even more disturbing one. The one that you said you was going to dress up as.
No. I don't know. I
don't know, man. Let's just keep sending him billions, I guess, so we can keep him a dancing.
Well, you would dance if you had $100 billion at your disposal.
Hell, I might even dress like that and dance if they send me the money they've been sending him.
But it's, these every day something happens, and I question why it happens. Why do we keep doing this stuff? I wrote down on my note sheet important announcements that to bring forth, and one of them was California becomes the first U.S. state to offer health insurance to all illegal immigrants, costing taxpayers $3.1 billion per year. Listen to that, $3.1 billion. Give you another one. I'm not sure people are aware that by 2026, all cars must have a kill switch on them. They are advocating that this is for safety protocols to stop drunk driving. They can stop your car with a computer chip at any time. Add to that, by 2027, California is wanting the ability to limit cars to 10 miles over the speed limit. I would look at you and tell you, I wouldn't be concerned about it from a safety protocol standpoint. I think it's more about control. They want to be able to control you as a human being. And most of these people are not aware they're embedded in Biden's infrastructure bill. And the hits just keep on coming.
I was going to say, well, we're getting ready to get invaded in here. What the heck?
Yes,
I hope so. So, if not, we're getting shot down in here.
So, you know, I don't know if you've noticed this too, Mike. There's been more and more occurrences dealing with Boeing. Have you seen Boeing 737?
Hell, the door flew off or something other.
They had to,
wasn't it, or one
they
of them,
were getting ready.
Wasn't it an Alaskan thing, or a trip to Alaska or something other?
I think it was an Alaskan airline.
Yeah, it might have been, but the damn door fell off.
They were getting ready. They were on the they were getting ready to taxi on the runway when a passenger on the plane looked out the window and saw that the door was missing screws, so they have to stop taxiing, go out and fix it. Also, I'm not sure if people are aware that this past week they had a plane that was getting ready to take off, a Boeing 737, and the wheel for landing was not even on it.
Oh my goodness!
You know, you know the front wheel.
That's why I don't fly.
Touchdown. You know, and there was a video I saw of, I don't know where it was at, but a plane was flying. I want to say it was over Miami or somewhere. It was a Boeing.
It says one caught fire after taking off in Florida.
That's where it was, somewhere in Florida. Yeah. But the plane was videoed and it was on fire.
Yeah, it was going. Yeah, I remember that. It went across the sky. It was on fire going across.
But Boeing, I'm not sure if people know this. Nikki Haley sits on Boeing board of controls, and I'm not sure, huh? I'm not sure if some things have been done to where some inspections and things on these things are being bypassed.
Have you seen the Kari Lake thing, like where they were trying to?
Somebody tried to bribe her to take money to not run for office, and that
actually GOP did, right?
Well,
was it GOP or?
That was the GOP representative from Arizona that tried to give her money. He resigned. My question would be, who's paying the bill for this? Right. I would be going after those people, because you're trying to take people that have, you know, aspirations to be lawmakers, that have the insight and the know-how and the knowledge to help people, and you're trying to convince them not to run. And who are you putting in their place? Right. There's the issue. So, I mean, I would be questioning ethics, but it's not, you know, I say our government has a problem, and it's not a Republican problem. It's not a Democrat problem. It's not a political party. It is. It's just right now, it's, you know, you got issues. You know, we haven't talked about Mitch McConnell. You know, look how many episodes has he had where he's just went staring.
And then they say that he's just 100% perfect. And it's like, no, I don't think so. I mean, I see that too much with even people that we all know, that when they get older and, you know, their minds start whatever. And I mean, you can't tell me that guy, well, the current guy in the big seat either. You know, you can't tell me that he can pass no test either.
But that's something that's going to come to all of us. You know, we were talking about Social Security for the elderly, fixed incomes. You know, we're all going to be old one day. And hopefully at that point we have enough money that we can provide for ourselves and not have to worry about struggling.
Banking on what you've been saying.
Huh?
I'm banking on what you've been saying for the last few years. I hope you're right. If not, we're going to be old and broke.
You ain't going to be old and broke. Trust me.
Y'all crazy.
I am crazy.
I'm not broke now. What are you talking about? But yeah, I mean, look here.
You were complaining earlier.
Found these out in the yard in a dumpster. It's been a while. But actually, something for some of our viewers here that enjoy it. While we were on the air, I got a text message from Mr. Jim Foster.
Hey.
You know, while we was on the air, and said, you know, let him know. That's his words. let me know. You know, so we'll be seeing Jim Foster pretty soon. There's a lot of things I definitely want to talk to Jim about. Things that happen in the sky, not planes.
Yeah,
That are burning. I don't know what the heck's going on with them. But
maybe he can enlighten us on Ocasio Cortez going to the moon at night.
yeah, I'm gonna play.
Not the moon, but
I'm
the
gonna
sun
play
at
that.
night.
I'm gonna play that for him, and ask him some other things. Well, actually, yeah. Well, no, I won't mention it here tonight. We'll talk to Matthew off the air with it. I don't want to get the discussion started tonight, knowing that we'll have Jim on pretty soon talking about it. But
I got a question for you, Mike. Let's see. And I'll direct this to the audience that's watching. Is there anybody out there that thinks that there's the potential for Joe Biden to step down and not be the Democratic candidate for president?
well, I've got it wrote down right here. There's a lot of talk, and it was mentioned here a minute ago, and I missed it in the comments, but it's up there. There's a lot of talk going around that Michelle Obama is thinking about throwing her name into the hat,
How can they if they aren't already on the ballot? There's been primaries going on. We've already had some primaries. So how can someone jump on board and register to be for presidential race if they're not already in the race? They can go in anytime. I mean, what's the deadline there? Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Some states have already had presidential or primaries, right?
Well, you've got the GOP caucus in Iowa, the GOP caucus in New Hampshire, getting ready for in South Carolina. That's the next spot, to determine who your Republican candidate is. Most people typically think it's going to be.
Larry says he ain't got enough sense to drop out.
Well,
a lot of people
there's
saying Big Mike. A lot of people said Big Mike is your next candidate. That's what I'm seeing here a lot.
That's disgusting.
Well, in my
that
opinion,
ain't not me either.
In my opinion,
another Mike. So.
In my opinion, and then the next question is, who do you think Donald Trump will select as his VP candidate? That's a good question.
There's a lot of people.
I like Ben Carson.
Talking about it.
Tucker Carlson. If Trump is elected president, Tucker Carlson, I'll say it right now, will be the press. He will be the press secretary of the United States of America. I'm saying that right now, and this is January the 27th, 2024. If and when Trump is elected, I can see that. I think Tucker Carlson, he has a mass following. When he does a video or he does some type of press conference, there's millions of people that tune in. So, what better way to send your message than somebody through like that?
Michael Obama and Gavin Newsom will be the ticket if they can satisfy Camel Toe Harris. Is what Robert says, but let me up here just a second ago. Mark here said, remember when the DNC was cheating for Hillary while Sanders was polling higher than Hillary, and then he just dropped out? You remember that?
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders was beating her in some state primaries, and then he just popped up out of nowhere and just dropped out. That'd be like Donald Trump dropping out right now and just handing it over to Nikki Haley or something, after beating.
Well, Nikki Haley's going to stay in the race as long as she can stay in for one reason and one reason only. And I'm going to tell you the reason if you want to know. The reason is because the longer she stays in the race, the more political action committee money that Donald Trump has to spend to beat her. It's less money he can spend on his presidential campaign. That's why she's staying in the race.
Carrie Lake, Ben Carson, Larry says Scott from South Carolina.
I'm going to throw a name out.
Is it Tim Scott?
I'm going to throw Tim Scott. Yeah, I'm going to throw a name out that I think Donald Trump will pick as his vice president.
I think RFK Jr.
No, I don't think RFK Jr. would be a bad candidate
because they was talking about it earlier in the week. About how before, he was the candidate. He was a possibility to pick, but Biden for nursing home.
I'll vote for that.
I actually think that Donald Trump will select as his vice presidential running mate General Michael Flynn. I think he will select.
Robert said Sarah Huckabee.
I think he will go with somebody that's a military-minded person because some of the issues that we've got, it's going to take a military-minded person to step in and
Right.
try to help us. You know, you take like right now, you got Border Patrol, you got federal military agents that are on the border down there that are being treated great by Texas, but yet there's an absence. The Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, went missing for a week. Do y'all remember that? That's happened in the last month. Now he just disappeared off the face of the earth for a week. And during that time, Biden attacked Yemen. So you attack somebody without one of your most important pieces to the puzzle, your military mind that knows what's going on in relation with these.
Miranda says Trump wanted Flynn the first time, and the RNC made him pick Pence.
I'm telling you, Flynn will be his choice. I think Michael Flynn will be Donald Trump's choice.
That was a mistake for Trump to go along with that, with Pence, I think.
Well, we wouldn't be saying that had Pence
did the right thing, or at least showed a little bit of.
Well, here's the thing. By constitutional requirement, if any state has an issue with and scrutinizes the election, by means you take the 10 days and you look into it. If there's no wrongdoing, there's no
Then you
wrongdoing.
certify
But
it
at
and go on,
least
right?
you allow people to walk away feeling what? Like their voice was heard.
Yeah, and they didn't.
And a lot of people turned their back on Mike Pence because he basically stated he didn't have the constitutional right to do that. He does have the constitutional right to do that.
You do know that Pence was one that got a letter at the Bush funeral too, though, along with the Obamas, the Clintons, and the Bushes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You have to question what that ordeal was. I saw a video. Pence was right in there. So for me, whether he did the electoral
you know
or
what
not,
that is, don't
yeah,
you?
I know what it is. It's the big C word, but I don't care. I saw the video.
You are a theorist. We are realists.
That's right.
So you
I
have
really
to.
saw the video.
If you, where's that other chair?
So you believe
you want to be a realist? You got to come and join us
she
at the
believes
table.
everything she watches on the internet.
Everything
and I'm
on the internet.
And we are French models. Bonjour. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, Matthew.
I
You're
know.
smiling
I
and
know.
laughing
I
because
know
you
what you're talking about. But
so you okay? The Bushes are as dirty as I'm registered Republican.
okay, that's why I say this. I said earlier in this program, and I'll go back to what I said. I said Greg Abbott, the governor of the great state of Texas, has some questionable issues. You remember me saying it? Who was he appointed by?
Bush.
George W. Bush. That leads me to believe that
there's something questionable. I agree.
Yep.
Because the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas, they're all in it together. I mean, you can't set
one big club.
The biggest problem I have with the Democratic Party, people who are in the Democratic parties, they won't even acknowledge when someone's bad for their party or they are in office and they're bad for the country. Yeah. For me, I can tell you, I would never vote for Mitch McConnell. I will not. I'm not going to. I regrettably voted for him the last time because he's bad. He's bad for.
She's saying to us on live stream, she would vote for Amy because Amy is a
mother and a fighter pilot.
Boom! She would have been gone after 6 years. I'm just saying that
I'm just kidding you.
I regrettably voted for him. However, it's just, I mean, I don't know why these people can't acknowledge when someone's bad in their party. That's one thing the Democrats, I will give them, like, kudos to, is they hold tight together. It don't matter how bad one of theirs sucks. I mean, Ocasio-Cortez, please tell me there's people sitting up there in the House of Representatives that can tell that idiot that you cannot go to the side.
I saw a video today. You were talking about AOC. Video today, she's walking down the streets of New York, and this guy asked her questions. And he absolutely went off on her. I mean,
I couldn't imagine why.
I mean, he went off, and she's just like, "Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, how you doing?" I mean, he's just asking her questions, and I mean, he was taking jabs at her. And there was another guy sitting there just.
I think I've seen something like that. Like they go up to her, and she thinks that they're like some kind of fan or something for her, and then he starts tearing into her with questions. But I'm just saying,
I mean,
why can't they admit when someone's an idiot in their party? I just don't understand that.
Well, she's done some things that. Okay, like she went to a gala one time and wore the dress that said, "Tax the rich." tax the rich. You remember that
Mm.
$35,000?
We had it on
yeah,
here.
$35,000 gala that, you know, and I believe somebody bought her tickets, which was an illegal Democratic donation.
Tax the rich, but you're wearing a $30,000 dress.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I barely have a $30,000 vehicle.
I understand. I understand. But I think Donald Trump will pick Michael Flynn. I think there is a number of people that are already in line that I could potentially say are going to be in his cabinet, in his executive departments. Who?
Carson. He was in it the last time, wasn't he? Ben Carson. No, you don't like Ben Carson.
I didn't say anything about Ben Carson.
Your face, Matt.
You are
you're talking,
a theorist.
You're talking about the Surgeon General?
Yes.
Yeah, I could see him being the Surgeon General. I could see that.
Matthew.
I mean, I could also.
You don't even have to talk with that theorist. We're realists. She's a theorist. She's dreaming over
I'm
there.
I'm not saying he's not a good guy. I'm saying I could see him being in that position. But I could see others.
Hey, there's an extra seat right here. You chose not to join the realist. You wanted to sit behind the camera and be a theorist.
But
over reading what TikTok tells you. So.
There's a number of people that are extremely loyal.
Random things.
Loyal to Donald Trump, that I can see Donald Trump appointing them to positions in his executive cabinet.
A lot of people,
Kash Patel,
silly people still think that he's going to pick Nikki Haley, but he's not going to. I mean, a lot of people think that. That's why she's hanging around, but he ain't going to do that. He would pick that Ramaswamy before he would pick her.
Well, did you see when he endorsed Trump that there was talk after he endorsed Trump that he would be having a position in Trump's? I'm going to tell you that ain't happening.
We got breaking news. Larry Jeviden. Trump just came on The View and announced that Whoopi Goldberg will be the vice president.
Well,
I think Larry needs a seat over there on the theorist side of it.
Larry needs to be here. Where are you at, Larry?
I hope that she's the vice president and getting the
Well, I will say this. I'm glad Larry brought that up. He's brought up The View. The View is a very liberally minded program. And over the next 9 months, I feel assured that there will be a number of people that will come out and they will say things that will attempt to make Donald Trump look like a tyrant and a dictator. The View, give me an example. Radical ideas being spread by the media.
Well, you're talking about it. I'm
The View. Trump will put Americans in camps. I've heard people say that already, that Donald Trump is going to be a dictator and that people's rights are going to be taken from them and that they're going to be put in camps like the Nazis did. That is not going to happen.
We have 4 years of Trump and he didn't do that already.
But I think what happens is they've got to paint that picture to try to get questionable people. Hold up. There's a lot of people that believe it.
Why?
Good sign.
I mean, seriously.
And, I feel assured that there will be smear campaigns that Donald Trump will attack people that are gay and homosexual, that he'll round them up and try to eliminate their rights. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But I think there will be programs. I'm not saying The View. I just think there will be media outlets that will try to send that message.
Now, you won't have to worry about it too much because if he gets put back in office, supposedly they're all going to leave the country, along with Stephen King and Taylor Swift and a bunch of other ones that if Trump wins president again, they're all leaving the country, which they said that the last time too. But
I think Elon will foot the bill for that travel if they would just go on through with it.
Hell, I would put in the money if they just get him on out here.
But it will be interesting because we're in January and November is, it'll be here before you know it. And the election will be here. You're going to start seeing probably more presidential ads on TV and more campaigns on here. You'll see more campaigns on the radio but I feel sure Donald Trump will probably name his vice president very shortly. I hate to think that he wouldn't because he's got to.
Well, on the other side
solidify
of the spectrum, they keep thinking that, even though Donald Trump's winning these primaries, that he's still going to be removed from the ballots and he's not going to be on there. But I mean, I may piss some people off, but I'll just tell you, I'm voting for Donald Trump. Even if he ain't on the ballot, I'm still going to vote for him. So I'll be writing that name in. So, I mean, you can remove him if you want, but I don't see why you would. I mean, he's already showing, big numbers in Iowa, winning in a record time. I mean, why in the world would you?
Well, if it comes down to him and Biden, the incumbent, if you look at Joe Biden's job performance rate, 34% right now approve of what Joe Biden is doing. 34% of Americans, 61%.
Whoa, approve of Joe Biden?
No, I'm sorry, 34 approve. 34 approve. At the last, this was done on
Who are
NBC.
they polling? Because I've never been asked.
But 61 disapprove. What I'm going to tell you is those numbers might be construed a little bit. It might be a little less than that, but that's the lowest. That's one of the lowest performance ratings for a president in the history of the United States.
I think it's high for him.
But you got to say this, and you said it earlier. Democrats tend to be very loyal to their party. A lot of Democrats are loyalists. And I don't mean that being mean. They are. They'd rather vote for a yellow dog as to vote for a Republican. At one time in this county, it used to be that way, pretty rampant.
Robert said, well, if the Democrats believe that they can change their sex by mutilating their bodies, they are dumb enough to believe anything the Democratic Party tells them, which is 100% true. Miranda says, I can't believe 34% of people approve of him, of Biden.
Well, that number's dropped drastically in the 3.5 years because of inflation and all the things that that we as Americans have been exposed to. Like I said, I feel sorry for Joe Biden because I feel like he's got some mental deficiencies, and they just keep putting him in the public view. And his family, you would think would say,
and Nancy Pelosi,
Mitch
McConnell, every one of them need to go home. They need to go home, and live their last of their couple of years of life, and just go away.
Our founder
Biden is an example of greed and stuff. It has nothing to do about his well-being and stuff like that. He honestly cannot put his things together. He can't walk upstairs. Hey, look how many times he's fell in his presidency, yet no one is taking care of him. Like, as far as his capacity, his physical capacity, his mental capacity, he's being exploited. But
and what people need to realize as well is that the Oversight Committee has opened up an impeachment inquiry on Joe Biden.
Johnson too, isn't it?
Well, you've got Alejandro Mayorkas. Alejandro Mayorkas is under investigation. There's an impeachment inquiry into him because he
needs to go
because of high crimes and treason, because he's not doing his job at the border. The House has started inquiry into impeachment for Biden, which gives them the power to subpoena White House staff. They have access to grand jury info, and as well as they have the ability to gather information from foreign countries like Ukraine and Switzerland and various other places where there is some dealings that have come to the public forefront. You talked about $40,000. There was, it was confirmed. James Comer, Representative James Comer from the state of Kentucky, Oversight Committee member, has stated that they have a check that can tie Joe Biden $40,000 to the Chinese government. But we're hearing all this, but we're not seeing action.
But if they don't do anything about it, it ain't helping anything.
That's right. We need.
But you were talking about impeachments. They are actually talking about getting rid of the new speaker. Well, I mean, they've actually already got something going against him because I reckon he voted the other day not to do something.
He voted to balance the budget, to pass a budget, but not include border security. So he's getting a lot of negativity.
So I reckon they're already starting on him.
Well, I feel assured. I'm almost about 100% positive, 100% positive that if the House stays in a Republican majority, that Jim Jordan will be the Speaker of the House. If you remember when Kevin McCarthy got ousted, everybody thought Jim Jordan was going to take it, but here he is behind the scenes bringing attention to some other issues. But I think when the time's right, Jim Jordan from the state of Ohio, who, in my opinion, is one of the better legislators in office, and it's not party affiliated. It's just the fact that I think he would do a good job.
I already scrutinized Johnson and hadn't found anything. Like they looked and.
Well, this is just recent. This is just recent. You're talking about control of Congress, and this is another huge topic in our country. Joe Biden announces, if Democrats win control of Congress, I'll sign a bill for abortions all the way up to birth. If Democrats can take control of all of Congress, he will have a bill on his desk that will, he'll be able to have, you can basically legalize abortions all the way up to birth.
I don't know how.
Which is the most idiotic, ignorant thing that you can say.
And the reason I say I'm questioning that is because the Supreme Court ruled that abortion was unconstitutional. So there's no legislative act that could take precedent over a Supreme Court unless he was able to convince 5 of the 9 judges to vote in favor of
rolling away.
But I can't see that could take. That would be a violation of Constitution again, in my opinion. I mean, and if I'm wrong, somebody correct me.
But then our Supreme Court overruled the border thing. Okay. So
yeah, but you take the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court reversed Roe versus Wade, right, and they turned it over to the state governments. Abortion is still legal. It's just they have placed temporary restraints on at what term you can get it. Like Kentucky, it's 15 weeks. Florida's 15 weeks, I want to think. Texas is 6 weeks.
Turned over the decision for states, period. Like it's a state decision. Federal government cannot.
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about before we started. Delegated powers, reserve powers, and concurrent powers. Delegated, federal government has the power to do certain things. State governments have all the powers that are not mentioned in the Constitution that are not delegated to the federal government. And concurrent is where the two work together and they share that power. Taxes is a concurrent power. Now, states have the right to pass laws for the betterment of the people in that state. And Kentucky has an abortion law. It's just 15 weeks. You can have a legalized abortion, but after 15 weeks, you cannot do it. That's considered a crime. It's considered murder. So, in Texas has probably got the most stringent abortion law with 6 weeks, fetal heartbeat. So, and that respectively leaves it up to the people that live in that state. If you don't like that law, you can do what? You can move to another state, and there's like interstate compacts between states that they will recognize. It's called the full faith and credit clause that says they will recognize the laws of one state. Meaning, if you get your driver's license at 15 in Ohio and you come to the state of Kentucky, you're a legalized driver because the two states share that they will observe the laws. Just like if I'm a criminal in Kentucky, if I go to California, I'm still a fugitive. I may be on the run.
You can go to Mexico for that.
Yeah.
Then you can turn around and come back, get all the benefits.
But remember, at one time they were getting paid, what was it, $475,000 a year.
Me and you had the plans.
We had the plan, but we could have been rich. We could have been doing this show from a warmer climate.
We could have been down in Cancun right now.
Well, hopefully we'll be there very soon. Maybe.
What the heck? Can't see that far. Biden got a new commercial showing a woman that had to leave Texas to get an emergency abortion because Trump took woman's rights away. Jesus Christ.
Well,
so
the Supreme Court.
Do you not have rights here? Did Trump take women's rights away? As far as I know, in all states, women have just as many rights as anybody else does. So I don't
know. As I said, you can compare. The gripe was my body, my choice. That issue didn't matter when
you started. When it came time for these, your body, your choice didn't matter though.
I said the C word, didn't I? My bad.
What did she say?
You don't know. You probably get kicked off the air. I said not when it came for the C word. Vaccinations.
So you're wanting me, you say C word or Z word? What?
C, as in Charlie.
So you want me to show everybody what's wrote on her back? The picture that I got?
I would suggest people to, you know, I read and try to stay on top of things as far as what's going on in the country, being informed. I read something yesterday about the Nuremberg Code. What specifically does the Nuremberg Code lay out in Article 6, Section 3 regarding war crimes? Because a lot of people are saying that some of the things that have taken place over the last few years could be considered war crimes. If you go to Article 6, Section 3 of the Nuremberg Code, it basically says that leaders should be aware that mandating masks on the citizens of a nation and preventing their access to food, health care, transport, or education, if they don't comply, is a war crime. So it's got to be involuntary. Or I'm sorry, got to remain voluntary. It's got to be voluntary that you participate.
Read that again, Matthew. It just applies to masks and.
It says here, in no case should a collective agreement or the consent of a community leader or any other authority substitute for individuals informed consent. Leaders should be aware that mandating masks on the citizens of a nation, preventing their access to food, health care, transport, or education, if they don't comply, is a war crime. Masks or any other medical intervention must remain voluntary.
It says any other medical intervention, so that includes the jab, right?
Mm-hmm.
But our own military got rid of people for not getting the jab. A lot of government, well, there was a lot of incentives going on. I guess they didn't really mandate it, but they were throwing out tax money to them for incentives.
Donuts.
Huh?
Donuts.
I've got some donuts right now.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah, I like to have them right now.
Michael might reconsider.
Yeah.
But you know, I just, like I said, I read a lot and try to stay informed and stumble across things, and I'm just like, how do these things keep happening if they're a violation of your individual personal liberty?
Research don't like a lot of people probably think that you are probably a faithful watcher of Fox.
I don't even.
I'm not.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. I have not turned the TV on in 2 months. I do not.
That's
turn
what I'm
it on.
saying. Is that I think
we bought access to. This is the truth, and my wife even said this. She basically got all over me. She said, you know, I told her, I said, why don't you buy access to something where I can watch some sports channels? So, you know, we got ability to where I can get Hulu and watch live sports. Well, she buys it and I watch it 1 or 2 days. So she cancels the subscription. She's like, you don't ever watch it. Why are we paying for it? And she's right. I don't watch. I just don't watch a lot of TV because I don't have a lot of time. And it's not, and really between me and you, I don't know if it's going to benefit me.
No, I mean, I turned on the local news last week for the first time in months. And that was because of the snow.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to see when it was ever going to quit, what, you know, if we was going to, you know, what the weather was, basically. And, hell, that was about as bad as watching the rest of the news because 2 or 3 days of that first week they gave snow. We didn't get the first snowflake. And then when it finally did snow, it hung around for 3 weeks. It seemed like 2 or 3.
So we woke up to like 3 inches or something.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying is I don't think.
Yeah, I don't watch
I agree
them.
with you. Do some research in the other avenues rather than news, and I'm saying that for.
I want to say that I read
CNN,
something.
Any of them.
I read something that, and let's see if you can find this. It was on something. It said that it was a major publication that had put this out. It was multiple publications said that if you do your own research, it leads to you being a conspiracy theorist.
You better get to, well, TikTok
so
don't really
that's
count,
you. We summed you up.
Okay, I mean, okay. I'm just saying. I saw the video, Matthew. You know what I'm talking
Robert
about.
said the liberal Democrats are above the laws that we are held accountable to.
For any of you that are listening to Matthew, look up George Bush's funeral and see right on YouTube.
For any of you that want, there was another topic when I walked. I keep rolling down the friggin' hill here. So when I went to get my drink earlier, the topic was taxes. For any of you that want to hear her talk about taxes, come in this store and try to buy something without paying taxes.
Go to Walmart and tell them.
Because I heard her talking about having to tax somebody earlier, and I'm thinking, you wait till I get back with my drink, because I'm going to let everybody remember that you're one of your top things in your store is everybody's paying them taxes. So there's a piece of paper laying right over there.
If y'all haven't paid attention to our live show, we had some people who just didn't think they should have to pay taxes, and I'm like, you go to Walmart and tell them you ain't gonna pay the taxes when you grab the stuff.
Yeah, also take the stuff away from you and put it back on the shelf at Walmart if you tried that too. You weren't gonna get out of there with it, but no.
I don't want to pay taxes. I have to pay taxes everywhere I go.
Yeah, I don't like
it. But, somebody thought that in small business, you all has the same rules. We have the same rules as Wally. So, we have to charge taxes. Unfortunately.
Larry's talking about an experiment that we did a couple of years ago. And actually, I sent the video to you. You remember. He says the snow that was on the ground, a buddy of his took a lighter to melt it, and it would not melt, only turn black.
That was in Texas.
You remember a couple of years ago, my aunt Donna, I don't know if she's watching or not, but I got a cigarette lighter off her, and I made a snowball, and I lit the cigarette lighter to it, and it would not melt. And I had her record it, and I remember sending it to you. It turned black. It would not. The snow would not melt. I said, something don't seem right there, but we got to watch what we say there. We may, we'll be sitting over there next week. Have to put somebody.
A good snow is a good thing every once in a while. We hadn't seen snow for a long time.
Since 2016.
It was nice to have snow. I mean, we went outside and we went snow tubing.
Yeah, me too.
I hadn't done that in a long time, and I found out just how old I am. But it was fun.
Yeah. She does too. She ain't acted right since.
However, Kiera's husband Zach, he went snow tubing.
Yeah, he ended up in the emergency room in Winchester.
Emergency room, honestly,
with a concussion.
Got a concussion. He's got stitches in his mouth. He went pretty fast and hit a ditch pretty hard.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. I did not take that hill. Yeah. I took the safe.
So is there any chance whatsoever you're going to come out and run for president?
No. No, I wouldn't.
You're going to be Trump's running mate, ain't you?
No, I think Michael Flynn will be an adequate suitor for VP.
He can't add more on. I mean, he's already Bitcoin king.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about my stuff right now, though. I haven't officially signed the papers, so I don't know if I can make my announcement or not. So.
No, I'm not going to run for it.
The people that are close to me know what I'm talking about, but I'll have to get up with some people. I mean, I know I can't be out asking for votes until the papers are signed, but I don't know if I can make the announcement yet or not. But
way to scrutinize.
No, I want it. It's going to be announced right here on this show just as soon as the papers are signed. And if I find out I don't have to have the papers signed to announce it, then I'm going to do it anyway. But, no, I'm not going to be the VP. I don't really want to be that big right now. Then we'd have to be in the White House doing these shows.
You run for governor?
Huh?
Are you running for governor?
No, I got to leave my buddy there for another few years, even though a little prick. But our Attorney General, Russell Coleman, issued a statement fully supporting Greg Abbott in the state of Texas. And he said, if Governor Beshear won't say it, I will. So technically, our Attorney General supported Texas, but our governor hasn't.
Let me say this. I think all 50 states should support Texas.
Why? I agree.
Because it's constitutional. Because you're supporting the very basic and foundation and fabric of what our country was built on.
Because, just like January 6th, as easily as it happens to someone on this side, the roles could be reversed and it could happen to someone on that side. Our Constitution should not have leadway for us to say, well, it doesn't apply to us because that's not my side. But what if the roles reverse? What if they switch? It shouldn't be played around with on either side. The Constitution should be followed. That's what the law is. But they only have, right now, they only have 25 states backing them, and Kentucky's not one.
25? He said 27. That's over half of the United States. That's 50%. And I'm going to look at
Yeah,
you
they
and tell
might
you,
be out
I'm
of
going to tell
Kentucky
you,
just because
I,
of the attorney
I
general, but it
saw
wasn't a governor
I
thing.
saw a TikTok video somebody had put online about Texas, the Lone Star State. Texas started off as its own country, and it joined the Republic. And it's been loyal. If Texas were to separate, see if you can find this TikTok video. It talked about Texas would be one of the 10 largest, I want to say as far as 10 largest economic economies in the world. I want to say, I think it has like a $2.2 trillion economy. So from a money standpoint, military, it has a large military. Also population wise, I want to say it would have right around about 33 million. Houston would probably end up being the largest city as far as population, probably up being the capital. Yeah, I know Austin Austin is right now.
Me and you have to come to an agreement here one way or the other. But Wanda says she supports them, but does her opinion matter? So do we think Wanda's opinion matters?
This is probably it. Do you want to hear it?
Let's see what it says.
I think Wanda's opinion matters.
Wanda has been a loyalist since the beginning of our program. She sends me stuff randomly, and it keeps me well informed, and I appreciate what she does. And like I said, her opinion matters, and is that very well may be it.
Push play.
That might be it, Mike.
Well, I don't know how to do this. I'm a conspiracy realist, not a theorist.
Becomes a country. Texas is an integral part of the United States of America. Texas' desire to secede would cause economic and demographic problems for the country. By area, Texas is larger than Nebraska, Kansas, and South Dakota combined, but smaller than Alaska. The population of Texas is over 30 million people, which is more than Australia. The Texas economy would be one of the largest in the world, with a GDP of more than $2 trillion, which would make Texas richer than Canada and Brazil. What if Texas becomes a country?
Yeah,
it's wild.
I mean, they were an independent country at one time. If things don't get any better down there, a lot of people think we're moving towards a civil war. And I saw something online earlier today that in 1997 there was a movie released called The Second Civil War, and it deals with a border dispute. See if I'm right.
What now?
What year?
1997. 1997, there was a movie released called The Second Civil War, and it dealt with a border dispute with Texas and Mexico.
Shit, I may have to check it. Yeah.
So I don't know if
1997 movie.
Huh?
It's a 1997 movie. It says a simple immigration issue spins wildly out of control for those involved, ranging from the President of the United States to a news producer. Gonna have to watch that and review that one.
And it deals with a lot of, just a little bit I watched it, Mike. The video that I watched about it, it basically stated that the federal government had tried to supersede its power over the state government, and they were in a constant disagreement, and it led to a civil war.
Well, I mean,
over a border
dispute.
I
had only watched the first one, but here recently we watched the trilogy of the Hunger Games. Now I know some of it's kind of silly, but if you look at the way the governments and stuff is ran in them movies, I mean,
in the districts.
Think about it today. Think about how things are setting up today. We're actually watching a series right now called La Brea, and it's about the government doing things with time travel and stuff. And of course, it happens in California, but they go back in time and then they find out they're from the future and stuff. And I mean, but they're talking about it, and the government's behind all of it. And you're thinking, Lord, this stuff, there ain't no telling. I mean, there just ain't no telling what's going on. They're on here talking about my boy Andy. Have you heard of Andy? Have you heard if Andy is for it or not to close the border? I don't. I mean, as far as I haven't heard him either way. I mean, I'll give him a call in the morning. Uh, you know, and check in with him. You know, but
Well, I mean, it's
I would
got
imagine that he endorsed Biden. So, you know, that kind of would make me think probably he ain't going to be for it. But
it says a lot, Mike, that 27 states have already came out
yeah,
in support of Texas, and every day that number tends to grow. Now, what I'm gonna look at you and tell you is, based on GOP dominance. And what I mean by dominance is GOP-led states, as far as state legislatures are concerned. I want to say that number is about 27. So I don't know if any more states will come out in favor of it. And if they do, they'd have to be democratically minded, democratically run states. And I don't know if they'll do that.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this earlier that said volunteers, you know, not the 25 states, you know, where the officials or whatever had said they support it, but volunteers from 27 states are on their way to Texas now
Have they?
to stand with the National Guard troops and
Are they
stuff.
sending their state National Guard there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, state, National Guard being sent, a lot of them.
So this movie that you said, it says the state of Idaho takes on the U.S. government in this dark comedy about race relations, rebellion, and the American dream run amok. When he hears that a plane load of Pakistani refugee orphans is headed for a state, Idaho Governor Bo Bridges makes a bold decision: close the borders. Washington is quick to respond: lift the blockade or else. It's a standoff, and soon the media vultures are all free to report or misreport the biggest news event of the country.
I may have to watch that.
Or else.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Biden basically gave Texas the order that they had to remove the barbed wire or else.
Right. That's why I think.
Did you want to send the pic? Did you want to show them the picture from Texas?
I'll show you the picture. I know while I'm holding up the picture, I see Felicia on here. Felicia, you better get some sleep tonight because you have a very, very tough class tomorrow. You know, I will be the student teacher tomorrow, but I won't be the one actually doing all the teaching. But right now, Texas has a message for any of you that do not support them. Here you go. Is this the states right here that Texas has
sound?
That's a map of the states that are
currently with them.
Yeah, I think.
Robert said, "Do you think little Andy will run for president next time?" I think so. I think that's what he's doing. He's building it up. But yeah, we go back to Texas here, and you know, this is the message Texas is sending to you all that don't support them. Shit. Yeah, heck, ain't good enough right now. Felicia will be up all night. Don't sweat it too much. I mean, if you don't pass, you just have to come back next time and do it.
You'll pass.
But,
it's okay.
By the time next time comes around, you might be in my class, and it'll be a lot harder. You know, you gonna come and take my class, ain't you? Yeah, I thought so. I'm gonna have all the good ones in my class.
And there's been, you're talking about guns. I'm assuming you're talking about
oh my God, here we go.
You talk about.
Said it. You said the word.
It's over.
Bye,
everybody.
That's come under attack in the state.
Well,
and like I said, in Illinois, there's some issues with certain weapons that have been
assault.
That have been outlawed.
That's not every weapon.
Yeah. They've outlawed it because they claim it's not part of the Second Amendment. So,
I like the meme that I see that it says, somebody will say, "Why do you need that kind of gun for hunting?" And they go, "The Second Amendment wasn't put in place for hunting. That's not the reason for it."
Well, sure. I mean, it wasn't.
But no, we've dealt with. That's another thing in this country is that the censorship is so bad. Like, we still have constitutional rights to freedom of speech. Yet, go ahead and talk about the word you already said.
Well, we had already said if something happened tonight, where you may not be able to make it, me and her was going to do basically do a show on Facebook and their censorship. Because, well, like you said, we're still on the air, which is kind of surprising. Now, YouTube might kick us off.
But we haven't really, we haven't said anything that should be in
Matthew,
violation.
we don't show we don't sell anything that pertains to it on live sales, yet we are scrutinized just because we have
about 2 weeks ago, I was kicked off the air 3 different times trying to get on like what we're doing now. I'd get started and we'd get ready to roll and it'd kick us off because there was either a sign behind us or
when you get kicked off like that, do they send you a message telling you why, or they just kick you off? I don't know.
It'll say you violated.
Yeah, it told me the other day that I was trying to sell animal parts.
He was trying to sell my dog.
And I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
You're talking about animal parts. Let me bring this to your attention. This happened over the break that we've not been online either. There was a convicted felon in a prison in Alabama that died. And his family requested his body. And when they got his body, they found out that there had been some bruising on the back of his neck and things of that nature. So they did a autopsy and found out that this guy was missing a heart. His body part was missing.
Wow.
Mark says the irony of the boots behind you. Boot 'em. Yeah, well, the other spot that we do our live stuff over there has got the main sign behind it, but it's got white pieces of paper hanging over top of, well, since you said it, I'll say it, over the guns part, because technically that sign was getting us kicked off.
But it hasn't just been that.
No, I made a sale post. I made a sale post and literally got kicked off twice. The post did. And I finally got on. That's when they told me I was trying to sell animal parts when I never had nothing to do with an animal at all.
People say they're not really trying to take your guns. And I'm like, dude, we had a credit card company that the store has had for 5 years. This is no lie. And it's used a lot of places. A lot of people use it. It's Square. I don't care to call them out because I don't really agree with the policies. But I had a customer leave some feedback that said, love shopping at Outback Guns and More. Immediately after that day, my credit card capabilities were turned off. So
she's going to give away the results of the next show.
I requested an appeal. I appealed the decision, and they said that I had violated policy. And I was like, what policy did I violate? And you could never get anybody to give you a solid answer. They just kept sending me the policies. So we tried to sneak around it and me just sign up for the credit card under my name, but they have my social security number flagged. So Michael's like, just call them and put them on speakerphone and let's hear what they have, what explanation they have. So I call them and I'm like, I need to talk to you about why this account won't work. Why can't I make this account? And he goes, have you had an account with us before? I said, I did. I said, you guys shut me off and I'm not sure why. And he goes, well, let me see. And I said, I'd like to know why. And he goes, oh, well, we don't agree with what you sell. And I said, guns? He said, yeah. I said, you understand that I'm federally regulated, that I have to abide by every federal regulation there is for anyone to buy or check out a gun in the store. I have to abide by those procedures. He goes, I understand that, but we don't agree with it. And I said, well, that doesn't seem very constitutional. And he goes, I said, you don't agree with people having the right to defend themselves? And he goes, no. I said, well, that's unconstitutional. He goes, I said, you don't believe in the Constitution? He goes, no. I said, you don't believe in America? He goes, no. And I just hung up. I was like, I wouldn't have your credit card processing.
I actually had the app
getting
ready to download it on my phone because I'm like, hell, I'll put it in my name so we can have a credit card machine in here. But when I heard him say that he didn't believe in the guns, he didn't believe in the Constitution, he didn't believe in Americans having them, I said, I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want nothing to do with anything.
Then we were recommended to another company and it's Stacks. I'll call them out we contacted Stacks And as soon as I gave him my email address, which is Outback Guns and More, he's like, "Oh, we can't take your account." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're considered high risk." I'm like, "What is the deal with this?" And he said, "Because you, our underwriters will not cover what you sell." And I said, "That's crazy." I said, "That's so unconstitutional because we have a constitutional right to bear arms." And he goes, "I don't agree with it because I carry myself." He said, "But," he said, "that's the company." But I remember a few years back.
I'm like, how the hell could you work for a company? You carry yourself, but you work for a company that don't agree with other people carrying. I said,
people question this, but I remember in Congress that at one time they submitted a bill about credit card companies making it difficult and flagging you if you were purchasing guns or ammo or things like that. So, like, if you go to Lexington and you go to Buzz and you go to Sportsman and you go to Cabela's and you're buying, or let's say you go to 3 different pawn shops, they want you flagged that you're that. So we had another customer tell us that the credit card company, that they had a credit card that denied their purchase of a gun. Wouldn't cover, so they couldn't buy the gun. They had to bring out cash or whatever for it. But we've dealt with it. It's that, and then it's just the censoring. Like, it's bad. It's bad in pertaining to guns. Which you guys' show is probably going to get cut. Michael's going to be banned from Facebook for about 7 days.
it's all right. Get used to it after a while. Selling animal parts.
Customers say, "We keep trying to share your live sell, and they keep saying that it's violating policy, Facebook policy."
Well,
yeah, I don't understand.
You had to change the name on our Facebook.
Yeah, I literally
it
had to
doesn't
change.
have guns in it anymore.
In all honesty, that name is just a temporary name. I mean, we have to wait. But I mean, it's looking like the name of the store is going to change possibly. I mean, it's come down to that. It's coming down to that because it's either that or we're never going to be able to have anything.
So you're going to name it Outback and More?
Well, that's what it is on Facebook right now.
Yeah, somebody got to it before I did to change the name.
I just took guns out. It was like,
darndest looking name I ever seen. Now I got to wait 60 days to even be able to change it on there.
It was like, we're never going to be able to share a cell if we don't. No, we're just tossing around some stuff. I don't know. We'll keep Outback in it because that's how we answer the phone.
Outback will probably stay in it, whatever will follow.
We kind of talked to Dad about it.
We kind of thought maybe Outback, Rainbows and More, Unicorns.
Unicorns and rainbows.
Or unicorns and rainbows.
Be all right.
I think that would probably boost sales pretty good. Have the Zelensky video going.
You have that video. It will attract a lot of people.
Robert's talking about the ammo, which they're already talking about. The gun companies put out that there will be a 19% increase in ammo prices in the next little bit. Again, there you go. With inflation.
19%, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
No. What the hell is that? But you got anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that's about it, guys. It's time to go to bed now. We're just going to take the air mattresses, and I got to be back.
We do have some super nice air mattresses.
There's some nice air mattresses here. You will have to pay taxes if you buy them. So everybody knows that. But we do appreciate everybody for watching us tonight. It's good to be back. It's been about 3 months. Seems like we're telling people we'll be back every week, every other week. We're coming back every 3 months. So.
But, a lot of things transpired during that time.
Sometimes. But I did get another confirmation. From Jim Foster while, we was on the air. He said, just let him know anytime from here on out, just let him know. So, the Jim Foster, he'll be back with us pretty soon. But, I told him, I said, whatever works for you. He said, anytime. Cashless society will cause all kinds of
Well, they can regulate it and monitor it more so, just like we were talking about shutting off bank accounts and stuff, debit cards, credit cards.
That's one of the reasons I mentioned the kill switch in cars, and I mentioned the fact that California has also got a law in place, trying to get a law in place that cars can only go a limit of 10 miles over the speed limit. They tell you it's for safety protocol, but it's more about being able to control you, I think. I mean, okay, you're on the interstate and you're not doing what they want you to do, and they've got a kill switch. They can kill your car
Sure, I know.
anywhere and everywhere. And you're talking about green economy. We talked about the Green Deal. We haven't talked about anything as far as battery powered cars during the storm. I don't know if you saw up in Chicago, a lot of these battery powered cars would not
start.
You got a battery powered car and it won't start, or you're on the interstate and you're stranded.
It just
and
dies right in the middle of a snowstorm.
You're right. I mean,
you've had the lick there.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you watching. We'll let you guys know when we're going to be back on again. You never know with us. Could be next week, could be 3 months, but we'll see you again in a couple of weeks or so, whatever. But everybody take care, be safe. It's pouring the rain out there, it sounds like. So, if you're out and about, take care, be careful, and we'll see you all on the next one. Everybody.